from the Midtown Association, the leader of the Midtown Association, Danny Desmond Eisen from Steamers, of course, in Old Sacramento, a longtime business leader in our community, and John Milkasich from the Limelight Card Room. You'll hear from all of them, but I get the privilege of kicking us off today. Today at 5 o'clock, the City Council will decide, and I'm confident that they will decide, to invest $61 million directly into our community with a key focus of helping our struggling business corridors, all of our commercial corridors, but with a special emphasis on downtown, Midtown, R Street, and Old Sacramento. Today is the beginning of the Sacramento comeback. What will it take? Think about what we have all been through together and what our businesses have gone through, often alone. We've gone through the worst pandemic in modern history, and it has had an impact. And so I ask myself, and my colleagues ask themselves, what will it take to actually realize the Sacramento comeback? Well, first of all, the end of COVID. And that is coming, maybe not fast enough. We continue to push, encourage, and when it comes to our city employees, seek to require people to get vaccinated because that's the ticket out of this pandemic. But that's not all. We know that the comeback is occurring now in real time because we are resuming more happenings in our central city and in Old Sacramento and elsewhere throughout the city. It's fantastic. The Kings are going to start another season and the Golden One is up and running again. I say, way to go, Hamilton, with that community center theater and more shows to come. There are more conventions, there are more people now downtown, but it's only the beginning. And it is only going to continue if we aggressively deal with the social condition. We all know that's homelessness and some of the attendant issues relating to people who are unsheltered. And we have $41 million from this package that is going directly into our $100 million comprehensive homeless plan, together with now up to 25 sites or so that we are both actively considering and ready to implement. But that's not really the focus of today's event. Because the other piece of this that really matters is that the City Council today, thanks to the leadership of my colleagues and the business leaders standing behind me, are going to directly invest in improving the safety, the health, and just also the atmosphere of our commercial corridors. $5 million directly into Old Sacramento, where safety is our top priority. And I'll let Scott Ford talk about some of the specific investments. Another $8.2 million to support small businesses citywide, again, with an emphasis on our central city, to help continue permanently the successful alfresco program, to pay to help businesses that have boarded up buildings and boarded up windows to remove those windows, to create better lighting, to create an e-gift card program so that we are incentivizing people to come downtown, and then real money to attract special events and attractions, smaller events and attractions, in addition to the big things that are going on, as I said, with the Golden One Center, the Community Center Theater, the Memorial Auditorium, and the Convention Center. And so this is a real shot in the arm here. That's what we are doing here today. This investment, I hope, will be a booster. It will speed up the comeback, inject a dose of confidence into our community, especially our business community, and say to our partners represented behind me here today, we are with you all the way. Thank you. It's my pleasure and honor now to turn it over to the council member for the Central City, Councilmember Katie Valenzuela.
Thank you. And thank you, Mayor, for your leadership on this important work. I'm Katie Valenzuela, the council member for District 4, and have the honor representing Midtown, downtown, and Old Sacramento. And I have to tell you what I told the Old Sacramento businesses at one of our first community meetings this year is that my first experience of Sacramento was Old Sacramento. I was a student at Davis. We came to Old Sacramento and just thought, oh my goodness, this is incredible. Is this what the city is like? It's an incredible representation of the businesses and the energy of our city. And I'm really, really happy tonight that we're going to be making a vote to help support them in their recovery efforts. But this vote is so much more than even just that. Like, we have these targeted investments to Old Sacramento, as the mayor outlined, but we also have support for small businesses, for inclusive economic development, for things like the youth violence prevention, which is something that we really need to help prevent some of the activities that have been happening in Old Sacramento and elsewhere, and critical support for workers that's going to help them get back into the workforce and make sure that we're really setting ourselves up for truly equitable recovery as we come out of this pandemic. So, but none of this would have been possible in addition to the leadership of our mayor if it wasn't for the leadership of our vice mayor, Jay Shamir, who was out there leading listening sessions, convening businesses, and talking about what they needed. And his outline is really the foundation of the plan that we're voting on tonight. And we couldn't be here tonight if it wasn't for all the time and energy that he and his team put into this effort. So with that, I'd love to pass it over to Vice Mayor Jay Shamir.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I guess there's nothing I need to say then. So maybe I'll talk about the Kings. You know, hope springs eternal. Playoffs. Undefeated so far. No, I want to say a couple of things. I want to thank certainly the mayor for his leadership and Katie for all the work that she's done in Old Sac and recognizing the challenges that we have and what we should be doing here. This really is, I hope, beyond what we're doing this morning and tonight, the start of a different type of relationship between the business community and the city. We talk and have talked for a long time about making policy and having those most impacted at the table when that policy is developed and when that policy is implemented. I think in my 10 years here, this is really the first time that we've done that in a major way with the business community. This wasn't us coming up with something and then the business community lobbying yes or no, or change it this way or that way. What we did is we actually went out to the business community and said, what is it that you need to be successful as we open up the city? And people like Emily and Michael put in time and effort with 100 other business people over the course of 4 different meetings to say, these are our priorities, this is what we need, and this will help us. So my hope is that that's really a beginning of a different type of relationship where we're working together to not only identify the problems, but collaboratively and collectively come up with the solutions. So I'm very excited about that. I'm looking forward to tonight. I also think this is really a down payment. If we don't have a strong business community, then we don't have jobs. And if we don't have jobs, we have more homelessness and we have more challenges. I actually was in Austin, Texas, the last 4 days, and seeing what they've done with their downtown, how they've dealt with a lot of their challenges, really gave me even new aspirations and inspiration to continue to do the work that we're doing, to come back not only from where we were pre-COVID, but to surpass that in a big way. So I want to thank you all for coming here. This is an incredibly important thing that we're doing. And I want to introduce Scott Ford, Old Sacramento manager, who is going to talk. Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for the introduction. Over the past 18 months, our community has repeatedly been challenged to our core, but through it all, we continue to collaborate and to innovate. It has brought us closer and it has made us stronger, and we are working together towards a brighter future. Old Sacramento Waterfront is the most unique neighborhood in our city, a place which belongs to all of us, one which we should all be proud of, and one which we should all feel safe to enjoy. Tonight, our mayor and our council have the opportunity to make a significant investment in our original commercial district, one which continues to welcome a diverse array of entrepreneurs and is fundamental to the identity and the economy of Sacramento. An investment in Old Sacramento Waterfront and a comprehensive approach to public safety is an investment in our locally owned small businesses who continue to hold on in spite of the setbacks. It is an investment in our employees who demonstrate courage and discipline by showing up each day and serving our community. And it's an investment in our residents who call this mixed-use district home. These enhancements will help ensure that Old Sacramento is an inclusive space which continues to thrive and to bustle with positive economic activity as we look towards the future. I want to thank Mayor Steinberg for his unwavering belief in our waterfront, Councilmember Valenzuela and the entire City Council for your ongoing leadership, and City Manager Chan, city staff, and our stakeholders for a collaborative approach towards solutions. I'm inspired to work in partnership with all of you, and I'm proud to serve our Old Sacramento waterfront each day. Thank you. Turn it over to Michael Alt.
Morning, everybody. I think I recognize many of you, Michael Alt with the Downtown Partnership. I want to start by not just acknowledging the words of the mayor, the vice mayor, and council member, but really realizing this has been a real challenging year. I mean, when we look back at the last 2 years, I think we've had COVID, we've had social protests, we've had fires, we've had, probably 2/3 of our employment base downtown work from home. It has been probably the most challenging time in my 20+ years working in this organization. Regions are known by their downtowns. We know that the perception of what a downtown is impacts people's perception of that city. Downtown has had not just challenges, but businesses, as you've heard, that are holding on. Many have closed. We want them to come back. These funds are going to be critical for us to reopen downtown. Perception for us is everything. People coming back downtown for the first time, people that are coming back to work for the first time. We expect after the new year, we're going to see a lot more people start coming back to their jobs, and we need to make sure that that experience is a positive one. These funds, especially in Old Sacramento, are going to go directly into the improvements. We're working on things from lighting to visually improving the streetscape, working on the ability to do activations, improvements, and make the central city fun again. You know, there's a lot of challenges that we've been through, but we're really leaning into the positive now. We could spend a lot of time talking about what hasn't worked, but these funds are going to help us champion. You know, a couple of weeks ago, we saw not just Hamilton, but the opening of the convention center. We've got the Golden One Center coming back on. Employees are starting to come back. We need to leverage this investment to really make sure that we are presenting downtown for the first time to some people that will be coming back downtown. So this city council has done an incredible job through the leadership with the mayor, vice mayor, our council member, city manager, of reaching out to the business community and saying, we're here to help. We're here to be a partner. What can we do? And I think the business community is ready to do their own part. Many businesses have held off. They've been closed. They're, you know, as the mayor said, the windows have been boarded up. They're waiting for that opportunity to get that critical mass. It was incredible last week walking the streets with Hamilton, an event at the convention center, lines out in front of some of the restaurants for the first time saying, we think we might have an opportunity to make it. We have not heard that positive aspiration from businesses in 2 years. These funds will critically support that investment and give us the opportunity to lean into this momentum. And hopefully we're standing here a year from now saying, we remember the COVID, we remember all these issues, but these funds kickstarted what we think can be a truly revitalizing time for this community. So on behalf of the business community of downtown, we want to thank the city for their support here. It's my pleasure now to introduce Emily Bain Michaels, who does an incredible job leading the Midtown Association.
Thank you. Good morning, all. Emily Bain Michaels, Executive Director of the Midtown Association. Really pleased to be standing here in such good company. I would echo a lot of what my colleagues have said in that the incredible leadership that's been offered with the mayor, with our vice mayor, and our council member Katie through this incredibly trying time has been incredibly inspirational. When Jay made the mistake of asking my perspective during all of the business outreach sessions, you know, I think what we shared on behalf of our business community and what many of them shared themselves is we are tired, but we are really hopeful. And for us, today is a really exciting day because it is yet another step that our city leadership is taking when they too are tired, but also hopeful to continue to invest in our community. In the Midtown Association, just the same as Downtown Partnership and Old Sacramento, we are in the business of direct service delivery to those folks that are experiencing homelessness on our streets. And the numbers of those folks, as well as the offsetting implications of the numbers of those folks, has been like nothing I've seen in the 20 years that I've been working in the PBID world in 5 different cities. But I also would say that I have never seen a process that has been this inclusive with this much resource that's available to come in and make a very meaningful investment in our business community. One thing that I would add is, I would be thinking from a standpoint of a listener to this session, what is going to be the real outcome? Where do I actually see these dollars coming into the streets? So I know Michael shared a little bit of his perspective, the mayor as well, of these folks. What I would say from a Midtown standpoint is we represent 110 blocks, which is approximately half of our commercial core. I think it goes without saying, but I'll say it since I have the opportunity to, that our commercial core is one of the largest tax generators for our city and therefore a huge economic engine for our region. For us, these funds are going to go into our ability to enhance our maintenance services, which ensures that we have a clean, safe, and welcoming and beautiful environment for our community as they are returning to our commercial core. We're making investments in internship programs that'll bring men of color that are the first generation in their family to go to college to come into our central city and have an opportunity to be part of this vibrancy, as well as investing in making it possible for our small businesses, our event promoters to host safe, appropriate, but community-minded special events. With that, we really are, again, hopeful that this is one step in many that the city has made to bring us back to a strong performing central city. I'd like to turn it over to one of our incredible small business owners, Jeannie.
Good morning. My name is Janie Desmond-Ison, and I own Steamers in Old Sacramento. And I too am very grateful and thankful for Mayor Steinberg and your leadership, as well as council members Valenzuela and Shamir, not to mention the incredible advocacy of the Downtown Sacramento Partnership, Michael Alt and Scott Ford on behalf of Old Sacramento. The challenges for small business owners seem to grow. The list grows longer and longer every single day. And at the very top of that list are the challenges that we face with security and safety of our employees and our guests that patronize our businesses, whether they're from across the world or across the river. I need to put my glasses on. Our business owners and our employees and our visitors absolutely have the right to be and to feel safe while working or walking to and from our hotels, garages, and places of business. This lighting and security plan is a great first step in the direction of safety for all of Old Sacramento and downtown. I already thanked the mayor and all of those responsible for today, but I would like to also say thank you for voting tonight on this proposal and getting it implemented as expeditiously as possible as the small business community begins to come up from the fog of COVID and enter into the holiday season. These improvements can't come fast enough. Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm John Mikasich with the Limelight, and I come from, I'm an owner of a small bar and restaurant and club in downtown Midtown Alhambra district of Sacramento. And over the last 2 years, it's been quite challenging to continue to adapt and keep our staff safe, keep our customers safe, and, in the evolving understanding of the science of COVID. And it feels like a big relief to be kind of stepping out of that atmosphere and seeing more customers coming and seeing more activity in our neighborhoods. But there's also been some serious challenges from kind of the fallout of this whole chapter. And, it's been difficult to see so many people in our area experiencing homelessness. We all are sympathetic, and it's painful to watch these people suffering. However, it's also difficult to create a safe environment for our staff and our customers, and sometimes these things are in conflict. And these funds could help us a great deal in keeping our streets walkable, keeping our streets clean, and keeping our streets safe. It's really been great to hear all of the ideas and see all of the hard work and perseverance from the mayor and the council and solving the big picture problems of homelessness. But my request is simple, is as we work through those difficult challenges to help keep our city streets safe, walkable, and clean so that we continue to bring back the commerce that's needed to pull out of this. So thank you very much.
Thank you, John. I just want to close with a couple of points. And once again, thank my council colleagues for their leadership and thank the business leadership for their leadership and for their partnership. You know, John sort of made the point about clean and safe and the homeless problem. This is what I said. I'm going to say it again. Leading with a big heart and having a clean and safe city are not opposites. They go together. We are aggressively working to help people who are out on the streets get indoors or at least get into safer places. And that will enable us then to say there are places in the city where you can't camp, where you can't live because it's not safe and it's not healthy. The second point I want to make is just a 15-second little civics thing about the city. We got permission from the federal government to spend this $112 million through this complicated accounting maneuver, to spend it however we chose. And we could have chosen legitimately to invest the money to shore up the city services because there's a lot of need there. Over 80% of the $112 million is going directly into the community. We are an outward facing city. The government serves the people, not the other way around. And we did that with CARES funding. We're doing that with Measure U, and we're doing it here with the American Rescue Plan dollars, because these are the people behind me who actually make, as Jay said, make the economy go, who provide not only jobs for people, but create the environment that makes Sacramento a better place to live. And so we choose to be outward facing tonight with $61 million of that $112 million and more to come. We'd be happy to answer your question. Scott, why don't you go take this?
Yes. Yeah, it's a comprehensive approach to public safety. So in addition to environmental enhancements in the areas of lighting, security cameras, and activations, obviously a collaborative approach between increased patrols, which we have seen in the past several months. Those will continue. There is also private security elements that come into play, and various other ways that we can create a safer, more welcoming, and more inclusive space for everyone. That's really the goal here. The message is that we're doing everything we can in partnership with the city, with the Sacramento Police Department, and with many other entities to make this safe space, welcoming, safe, and inclusive for everyone. Daytime, nighttime, obviously the enhancements with lighting and with positive activations creates a destination environment where all of these, the community can come together, can celebrate, and can do so safely. We're investing in flexible infrastructure from removable street bollards, which allow to safely close roads when there are special events happening. We've got less than a month away from the Theater of Lights returning and Polar Express and all of those quintessential Sacramento holiday traditions that are so special and we've really missed out on the past year and a half, 2 years. We're working to put together a plan that is going to bring that back to the forefront of our community and bring us all together to gather safely, to enjoy safely, and to support our small businesses. I mean, that's really the, that's the foundation of our local economy. So. Well, it's not going to be a space that's going to be tolerated. This has to be a space that's welcoming, that's safe. We can't have acts that exclude portions of our community from being down there and feeling safe, and our businesses who are trying to stay open, our employees who, as I mentioned, have the courage and discipline to show up to work each day. They deserve to feel safe and to be safe in this space. And it's, you know, it really is, it's a special part of the city. It's the original commercial district. It is the most unique neighborhood that we have here in Sacramento, and it needs to be celebrated. It needs to be enhanced, and it needs to be a space that all of us are proud and feel safe to enjoy.
What's in?
I also just want to add that some of the most recent shooting incidents that we've had have unfortunately involved young people in Old Sacramento, that this has been one of the only places that folks can gather outside, that you don't have to pay money, that you can hang out with your friends. And so a really important component of the package tonight includes $1.5 million in youth violence prevention. And what that will enable us to do is hire the interveners, hire the folks that have successfully helped at Art and at Delta Shores to come in who have relationships with these youth and really ensure that there's accountability and that there's eyes on the street to help prevent hopefully any future incidents of youth violence from occurring in Old Sacramento as well.
Another example of where it's not one or the other.
Yeah,
It's
all of the
it's
above.
both.
Is it mostly gang related, do you know, or?
Not that I'm aware of. These incidents just appear to be, you have a lot of youth from different parts of the city that are coming together in one location and things just happen. And so what we're hopeful with these experts that we have relationships with at the city is expanding their services to include Old Sacramento will help prevent that from happening again.
Has anyone talked to any of the businesses that have already shut down, maybe encouraging them to reopen their doors with these funds that are coming in?
So I think throughout the central city, I mean, we all were really saddened a couple of weeks ago with the announcement with De Beers, for example. But the challenge for us has been when you talk to some of the businesses, especially in the downtown core here, we haven't had the employment base and people aren't coming back. They've been holding on. We are hearing very good things from some of the businesses that have kind of held on, waited, had limited staff that are looking forward to some of the news from the new year. We're starting to hear state employees talking about coming back in larger capacity after the new year. A lot of the businesses and some of the vertical product of high rises downtown coming back in larger numbers. And so businesses are saying, if that trend continues, that they're going to be hiring more and start reopening. And so we know the last couple of years for many of these small businesses, they've just been holding on and trying to, hold some of their capital so that when this does return. But this has been very impactful on small businesses. A lot have closed.
Talk about the
Yeah, and
e-cards.
so, we're doing programs to try and leverage entertainment cards to provide some value for people to come down, give people some reasons to come down, working with restaurants and businesses to do some of these cards to say, come down, shop your business, leverage your money. You may put in a certain amount of money. We'll match some of that money to come in and give people an opportunity to maybe come down when they hadn't been downtown or haven't been downtown in a while. And so we're trying to be really creative. And I know in talking with Emily and Scott and their districts, what are things we can do to bring people down in the way of activations, getting fun back, making it an exciting time, because the last couple of years haven't been the most exciting of times in the central city. So yeah, I'll be back. I'm back. The alfresco program that we had, keep in mind, alfresco was just going to be a temporary program, but there's one thing that we learned, people like eating outside. They like being in the outdoor spaces. Some of these restaurants have said, God, we'd love it to continue. Well, there was initially an end date to that. And a lot of the feedback that came from the business community, but also from the patrons was, why can't this continue? We're really fortunate here to have weather that allows us to be outside, quite a bit throughout the calendar year. So things like that are going to continue to work with businesses to make some of these permanent and make some of the improvements to have these be, really cool public spaces.
Do we have numbers on the amount of businesses that we have in our community and the core that we're talking about? Do we have, we know if it's like 300 or how many businesses we have and how many closed because of the pandemic? Do we have any of those figures?
I don't have an exact number, in each of our districts what closed. I mean, the things we track, but, businesses closed also provide an opportunity for new businesses to come in. And we are starting to see for the first time for us in the last 3 to 6 weeks, several new businesses that will be reopening this year, some of them using spaces that previously were occupied.
I'd
like to take an opportunity to answer your question a little bit further than what Michael was expanding on. It's kind of to bring employees back and for businesses to stay open or come back and open again. It's kind of a chicken and an egg thing right now. This program will give employers like myself an opportunity to go out to potential employees and say, we are hearing you. We are becoming more safe. We're becoming more secure. We're opening up our businesses at night now because we believe that it's going to be better, not just COVID, all of the safety issues that we've had to deal with and everything else pandemic and regulation oriented. So I think it's a chicken and an egg, but messaging, communicating is key. We have had a horrible time. John, I'm sure we can talk to you folks for hours about the lack of employees and what that's done to us. So it's a combination of things. This is a great first step.
Any other questions?
Any of this money, is it going towards parking structures, parking spaces?
No. There's increased cleaning, but no additional parking spaces.
Just like throwing money in the youth violence bucket or the bucket for, taking care of things for people who are on the street. Sometimes doesn't really explain how that money's actually going to be effective.
Well, sure. Let me, the $41 million on the homeless issue is tied specifically to the August 10th action of the City Council, a unanimous vote to pass a comprehensive siting plan. We have pre-approved 21 sites for safe ground, for shelter, for tiny homes. And we've added sites, both informally, not yet ready to be public about some of them. And we're now up to about 25 sites. We have $100 million, including the 41 that will be allocated tonight. And when we combine that money with the pre-approved sites, it's all about implementation and standing up these villages, these communities with as much urgency as possible. We're on the verge of a couple of implementation breakthroughs here. And in addition to some of the existing shelter that we have, like the WX shelter at Alhambra, the Meadowview shelter in South Sacramento, the 5th Street shelter, where we're working with the county to expand, add an additional 60 beds. And so this money is going to be used specifically to bring people from these tent encampments into a better place. And that is also going to help, together with some of these other investments, provide a cleaner and a safer city. On the youth money is going to go directly to the interveners, as Councilmember Valenzuela said, to help young people and to provide more programming. And by the way, there's another tranche of money coming, about $17 million for youth and workforce development that we're not approving tonight. That is going to come a little bit later when we determine how best to invest that money.
Yeah, I wanted to ask them, so does that mean that with a combination of zoning and services provided, that it would basically be allowed to be enforceable to not allow homeless?
Want me
I
to
just
do
wanna
that
dig
one?
onto the youth. I just want to quickly expand again on the youth violence point before you move on to that one, which is that shortly after the one of the most recent shootings in Old Sacramento, I went and did a night walk with some of the youth interveners. And it was incredible to me how many of the youth they knew. They knew these youth because they've been doing programming in South Sac. They've been doing programming at Arden, and they were walking around saying, oh, hey, how's it going? Oh, hey, how's it going? And I thought, these folks, before the pandemic, we got down to 0 youth homicides in our city. And obviously the pandemic really threw a wrench in the mix for a lot of youth programming and services, but we do know how to do this when it comes to youth violence intervention. And I'm really hopeful that this 1.5 million will help bring success to Old Sacramento and interrupt some of the violence that we're seeing in that area as well. But then I'll let the mayor answer the.
I'll ask the enforcement question, which is a proper question, of course, but a little bit loaded as well. So I think it's important to explain it in the right way. Our goal is to help people. That's our mission. That's what we do as public. And when you serve the public, you help people. And there are a lot of people out there that are suffering. I do not believe it is safe or healthy in any way for people to be living in these tent encampments. And I think everybody agrees with that. The law, my own sense of morality, and what is effective says that you can't move people from places where they shouldn't be. In most instances, now if something is a really terrible health and safety problem, there can be exceptions, but you don't move people unless you have an alternative for them. I put out, in my State of the City, and you'll see this again next week, I'm putting forward a major ordinance that calls for a right to housing in Sacramento and an obligation to accept it when it is offered. If several alternatives are offered to people, because I believe the public policy of this city must be that people live indoors. Now, it's a long way to get there, but I tell you, once you set that policy and you set that North Star, as we are doing in this city, with the comprehensive siting plan, with the money, with the clean and safe commitment, and then with the policy that is coming, as I teased here a moment ago, I believe we will see improvement. Will we cure this? No. We're not the only city here. Can we make it better? Can we help thousands along the way and have a cleaner and safer city? Yes. Anything less is not acceptable. Thank you. Well, I'm going to get in, we'll save it, Letitia, for next week. Because I'll be able to answer all those questions. But I believe the policy of this city must be that people live indoors. It's up to us first to create that capacity. And that's exactly what we're doing. And that gives us the legal, the moral authority then to compassionately say there are places in this city where it is not appropriate to camp. More to come. Thank you all very much for coming. Really appreciate it. Good.